China passes law to make Islam compatible with socialism. As crackdown against Muslims and Islamic symbols continue, a new decree seeks to guide Islam. The new law seeks to Sinicize Islam within the next 5 years to rewrite how the religion is practiced. After a meeting with representatives from 8 Islamic associations, government officials agreed to guide Islam to be compatible with socialism and implement measures to Sinicize the religion. How do you think that's going to go?
I think China really hates anything that it cannot fully control. This is really crazy. By the way, this is a huge fuck you to all the atheists that were supporting China because they thought China was being anti-Islamic. China is not being anti-Islamic. China would be happy with an Islam they could completely control. China is just anti not having things in its control. Okay, this is tyranny. So for people that were defending China because this was like, oh, this is great, this is anti-Islam, how could you be an atheist and not support this? Well, you're supporting tyranny. Okay, we're against Islam because Islam by its very nature is tyrannical. Islam supports tyranny. Well, we're against China being tyrannical as well. This is fucking tyranny. We don't support. You can't defeat an evil with by supporting another evil. This is bullshit. This is yeah.
Let me make a point, and then I want to let you build on that. I just want to point out that to Sinicize something means to make it adaptable to Chinese culture.
Yes.
So what they're trying to do is, and Armin's going to hate me for using this word, but they're trying to reform Islam.
No.
In order to, well, I didn't say moderate. I said reform. Right. They're trying to reform Islam to line up with their current beliefs. Like for instance, things that are huge parts of Islam that are already forbidden in China are things like praying out in the open, fasting, growing a beard, wearing a hijab, wearing a headscarf, wearing any sort of religious covering. And some other things, but it seems to be most of these things that are compulsory, I'm sorry, not compulsory, but that are mandatory in these religions that China wants to change about Islam. So I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing. The only thing that's bad about it is that it's being forced by an external entity. Now, if it came from within Islam, then that's different.
What do you mean the only thing that's bad about it is that it's forced? That's the entire point. That's why it's bad. Like, it's like...
But it's good that they are willing to allow Islamic practicing as long as they do not bring along all of this or some of the negative baggage.
First of all, for Muslims, this is worse than being forced not to practice Islam. Okay, this is bid'ah. This is changing Islam. According to Muslims, is way worse than you just abandoning Islam altogether. Okay, or you just, in fact, they would love it if you forced them not to practice Islam because they were like, oh, look, they could put, all the Muslims in the world could start pointing at China, which they haven't done as much yet, which is amazing because I mean, this is getting some attention among some Muslim communities, but it's not at all getting as much attention as the Muslims in Burma or in Palestine or anything that has a Western government, like they know their traditional enemies, right? Israel and United States. This is not getting as much attention they deserve. I mean, the number of people that are being forced to practice in camps, in concentration camps, because they're Muslim in China and all of this now, is astronomically higher than the number of Muslims in Palestine. I'm not excusing other stuff, but I'm just saying that why the fact that this is not getting attention by the Muslim community relative to those stuff is amazing, but it will eventually, because I think, as I mentioned before, Muslims will eventually start seeing atheism as a greater threat than the more recent enemies that they're used to, which is modernity, the West, and Israel. So when they see atheism as a greater threat, China is going to be the perfect boogeyman for them to paint as the new great devil, right? But not right now. Not yet. And especially, it's very interesting. I want to see how this is going to play out in Pakistan, because Pakistanis love China. China and Pakistan have a lot of like trade deals right now, and it's bringing a lot of like money into Pakistan. And I don't know, like all the Pakistanis that call out anything anti-Islamic in United States or in Israel or in Europe or in Canada, when they see it, they just lose their mind. What I mean, they're even, Pakistan is even controlling social media related stuff in companies that are US based, because of they're offended by stuff. But they're not saying shit about China yet, even though they're like, yeah, this is fucking, so China, like Pakistan is offended, for example, by my anti-Islamic tweets. When I post anti-Islamic tweets, they're offended by that, and all of a sudden it gets completely banned from Pakistan. Our page is apparently banned in Pakistan. Did you know that? But they're buddies with China, even though my tweets didn't put anybody in fucking concentration camps, but China is. So Pakistan is more afraid of my tweets than a fucking entire country that is oppressing millions of Muslims. Like, your priority, like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. More atheists are talking about the inhumanity of what China is doing to Muslims than on a per capita basis than Muslims are, this is okay. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I just want to add that, I mean, you know, if we look at Christianity today, you know, we have had a lot of and I say we, as in myself, living in a mostly Christian culture, that we have made huge strides in the acceptance of things that are otherwise considered not Christian or sinful, such as homosexuality. Things have changed or have been changed with the interpretation in order to fit with society, with the changing of society, in order to make Christian belief and ideology compatible in some way. So do you believe, Armin, that changing these things that aren't necessarily fundamental, I mean, would you say that in the interest of making things compatible with society, to decrease the uprising or the tension in society, wouldn't you say that that's generally good?
No, the way societies have reformed societies is by moving away from religion, not by changing religion. That has always, always.
But they are moving away from it.
I'm answering your question, Jim. I'm answering your question. Okay, this whole changing religion from within is nonsense. Religion needs to be abandoned, do not change. And that would be I mean, I have had entire episodes on this, and that was an entire discussion of its own. But for people to try to replace one bullshit with a different bullshit because this is a less harmful bullshit, that's absolutely nonsense. You don't reform religion, you defeat religion. If the society's, religion has always been put in a defensive mode by better competing ideas. It has never been because of a change from within, or by trying to tweak the mythology, or by trying to change the bullshit that people believe in. That's not the way you don't take away a lie from people and replace it with a different lie and expect progress. You fight lies with the truth. That's how you bring in progress. But that's an entire other episode that I could talk hours on, and I have talked hours on.
The whole way that I escaped religion was by changing things that I didn't necessarily agree with, and trying to find reasons, like in the Bible, trying to find justifications for justifying my beliefs the way society should be. For example, I didn't believe that people like homosexuals and people who have sex before marriage should be marginalized and should be looked down upon. And so I was trying to find justifications for that, just like a lot of Christians do. And after one thing led to another, finding one thing that I didn't agree with after another, and it being pointed out to me, and me finding justification that it's not necessary for me to believe in this in order to be a Christian, that eventually led to me saying, well, it's all bullshit. So I mean, maybe
that proves my point, actually, because when people are looking for baby step, I said don't change the religion so that it could last longer, because the way you when you try to go defend it, you find the problems with it and you doubt, and that's the baby step. Actually, Amir in the Facebook live chat is saying it's easier to change religion first and then it gets abandoned. Actually, no. Changing religion is basically a defense mechanism and makes it last longer. The way if you think I'm not saying outright abandonment is you could expect that, but doubt is the people say, oh, reform is a baby step. No, reform is not a baby step. Reform is a step in the wrong direction. Doubt is a baby step, and doubt is a baby step, and it's intellectually honest. Because you don't have to lie to people to make them be skeptical about their views. You just get that one tiny seed of doubt. Anyways, I don't want to get into it because that's not. This is a huge discussion.
Just real quick. No. Just real quick. Would you say that this is better, like allowing people to practice their religion within these parameters? Would you say that that's better than mandating that they do not practice at all and mandating state atheism?
Well, I mean, before I respond to that, Grant is saying you cannot associate the two. I think he's saying that China with atheism. I didn't say that. I'm saying Chinese government policies is based on atheism. Atheism doesn't have any doctrines. But what I was trying to suggest is that a lot of Muslims outside of China, when they want to attack atheism, they're going to try to make that case. With regards to what you said, Jim, you're comparing two different evils. And obviously one evil is worse than the other one. But that doesn't mean one of them is not evil. I could still, just because something is better than what an example that you could come up with, it doesn't mean it's not wrong. The fact is that this is forced, it's tyranny, it's government getting involved in people's practices, and it's not the right way. We fight Islam. This is not the right way to fight Islam. I could
Dirty Dancer in the comment section says they agree with you. And they said that it's important not to give people outs for their dissonance.
Exactly. I mean, you could say, Jim, I could ask you the same question. Isn't this what China doing not better than coming out and outright shooting every single person that they find praying? And it would be like, yes, this is better, but that doesn't mean that this is good. I could still condemn this and acknowledge that it's better than some other worst case scenario. Okay, by the way, I will have an entire episode against reforming Islam or against reforming any religion. A lot of people are like, oh, Christianity got reformed in Europe. No, Christianity was not reformed in Europe. Christianity was defeated in Europe by Enlightenment values and by better values. It was nothing within Christianity that made it better, or it was nothing within the Bible that changed. No, it was nowhere Christians that came and decided like, hey, let's maybe make things better. No, it was there were better values, better ideas that came and competed with Christianity, and they won, and Christianity had to take a backseat. Christianity was and always will be a barbaric, backward doctrine that needs to always be fought against, never reform, same as Islam. Islam needs to always be defeated, never reform. They both need to die. And again, this is about the ideas, not the people. Let me see the top comment. Lars is saying Islam isn't compatible with anything other than Islam. Well, China is. I'm hoping that you got tyranny is not also compatible with anything other than tyranny. So I don't endorse Islam or Chinese tyrannical practices. Benny is saying a mental illness is incompatible with real. By the way, the title of this article says China passes law to make Islam compatible with socialism. Well, while you're at that, China, do you want to make China more compatible with socialism? Because you're one of the most capitalist countries in the world right now. I don't understand how you want to make Islam compatible with socialism when China. I wasn't going to go down that rabbit hole. You're right. China is not compatible with socialism. I mean, I'm not against that. I mean, that's a good thing about China that is embracing capitalism, but it's
but don't insult socialism like that.
I mean, we disagree on that, I guess. Liam is saying China is doing the best thing for a country. Well, we'll see about that. When you're fighting monsters, try not to turn into one. Again, we always say that this is China's internal affair. US is going to create ISIS in China. I don't know if when people say this is a country's internal affair as if they're defending it. Okay, well then you're defending Saudi Arabia as well. They could chop off people's heads. It's their own internal affairs. They get to. What if it was a country's internal affair to rape every single child? Like, are you still gonna sit back and be like, oh, it's their own internal policies, their law, their business? No, fuck that. Yeah. These are our fellow human beings. We get involved when you mistreat other human beings. I don't care if they're Chinese or not Chinese. I don't care if you don't own your own. A government doesn't own its own people. You don't get to say like it's their own people. They get to have their own laws. No, fuck that. We get involved when the rest of the world should get involved when people are being mistreated.
It's a lot easier to say that whenever you are detached from it. But if you were an ex-Muslim and you were looking at the rest of your family that were still believers being rounded up and forced to do this, you would have a much different outlook on it.
Grant, I see your question, but sorry if I'm ignoring it because it's not relevant to. Maybe it's a little bit relevant, so I'm going to read it. Armin, you were forced into Islam? ? Because you were young. Technically, yeah, I guess, yeah, because I never had it. Nobody asked me. It was decided for me.
Atheist Republic wants to give atheists a louder voice. Let's show them that we're listening, no matter which language they speak. With your support, we will be able to produce our shows in Arabic, Spanish, Persian, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. Help us get there. Check in the description for ways you can support our projects.